Welcome back to the Farm Show here on Westplex Talk 104.5. It is October 4th, 2025, Saturday morning. This is the B block. That's what we call the second segment of our show. Back in A block, I mentioned that we would present some research via the University of Missouri and via the Missouri Soybean Association that could help you save some money. The first piece brought to us by the Missouri Soybean Association, which you can find at mosoy.org. Here's the headline: The Big Picture: Spraying Less, Saving More. Farmers often ask, does spraying fungicides at the R3 growth stage really pay off? To find out, University of Missouri Extension partnered with farmers across the state in an on-farm strip trial project. Over 7 years and 64 fields, the results gave us a clear picture. Number one, fungicides sometimes boost yields. Number two, most of the time, the cost of spraying is higher than the extra beans you get back. In other words, while fungicides can occasionally help, for the average Missouri farm, they're usually not worth the investment. Here's the project overview. A 7-year study led by University of Missouri Extension suggests that many Missouri soybean farmers may be losing money when applying fungicides at the R3 growth stage. Since 2018, researchers have tracked on-farm strip trials across the state to evaluate the impact of fungicide use. The results? While fungicide applications sometimes boosted yields, the gains were usually too small to offset the costs. On average, yields increased by just 1.8 bushels per acre after fungicide treatment. At a soybean price of $10.20 per bushel, that translates to roughly $18.36 in additional revenue. But with application costs running between $30 and $40 per acre, most farmers ended up losing about $15 per acre. The piece goes on to quote Mandy Bish, a plant pathologist with MU Extension. Mandy says, foliar disease pressure in Missouri is often low. That means applying fungicides for diseases isn't typically justified, and in some cases, it even reduces yields. The piece goes on to say, the data showed wide variability. In the best case, one field gained 12 bushels per acre. In the worst, yields dropped by nearly 3 bushels. Early models suggest weather may play a role, with rainfall within 48 hours of application potentially boosting effectiveness. The project also revealed broader benefits. Fewer fungicide applications could slow the development of resistance, preserving tools for when farmers truly need them. Mandy Bish says, decreasing unnecessary applications helps protect the effectiveness of these products long term. The research goes on to say, for some farmers, the findings were eye-opening. One participant admitted he was skeptical at first. He said, I thought these results were, he uses a foul word, when you first shared them at a field day. I owned my sprayer, was leaving the field day to go spray my beans, was mad, and set up a strip trial myself. My results were almost identical to what you presented. The piece goes on, for Missouri soybean growers, the bottom line is clear. Fungicide application at R3 may sometimes pay off, but more often they don't. Researchers encourage farmers to think carefully about their field's conditions before reaching for the sprayer. Here are some of the takeaways from the research. What we learned: a small yield bump. On average, applying fungicides at R3 added 1.8 bushels per acre. Number two, costs outweigh benefits. With soybeans priced at $10.20 a bushel, that's about $18 an acre in added revenue, while spraying costs $30 to $40 an acre. Farmers are often losing $15 per acre. The wide range of results summarized. Worst case, yields drop 3 bushels. Best case, yields increase by 12 bushels. Low disease pressure. Foliar diseases are often minor in Missouri, so spraying just in case usually doesn't pay off. And also, weather matters. Early models suggest that rain within 48 hours of spraying may improve odds of a yield boost. That's a pretty efficient summary of the story. Why it matters for Missouri farmers. Save money. Reduce unnecessary sprays, keeping more dollars in your pocket. Number 2, fight resistance. Using fungicides only when needed helps delay resistance and ensures the products keep working when you really need them. And tailored decisions. Farmers now have real-world, Missouri-specific data to make better management choices. Next steps. This study raises new questions. The questions listed are, what happens when we add insecticides or biologicals to the spray mix? Another question, which weather and soil factors increase the chances of a positive return? And finally, how do newer, more expensive fungicides compare to the older, cheaper ones? And the University of Missouri folks end with, these questions will guide future research, helping farmers refine fungicide decisions even more. So that's the first piece of University of Missouri Extension research brought to us at mosoy.org. Here's the second piece. Spray drones are one of the hottest new technologies in agriculture. They promise precision, flexibility, and less soil compaction. But do they really match the performance of traditional sprayers? To find out, Missouri researchers put the DJI Agris T40 drone to the test in soybean fields across the state. Over 2 years, they compared drone spraying with standard ground rigs, experimenting with spray speed, height, and volume to see how drones stack up. The results? Drones can control weeds under the right conditions, but ground rigs still provide more consistent coverage and weed control. Here's an overview of the project. Sprayer drones are capturing attention across farm country, but new research from the University of Missouri shows they may not yet be ready to replace traditional ground rigs when it comes to weed control. Led by Kevin Bradley, a weed science professor at Mizzou, the study tested DJI Agris T40 unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, in side-by-side trials with ground-based sprayers during the 2023 and 2024 growing seasons. The team looked at spray coverage, off-target drift, droplet size, and overall weed control in soybean fields. The results were mixed. Ground sprayers consistently delivered more uniform coverage and bigger spray droplets, which translated into steadier weed control. UAV applications, while showing promise, often produced smaller droplets and patchier coverage, especially at the edges of swaths. That created variability in managing water hemp, one of Missouri's most stubborn weeds. Still, the research highlighted important opportunities. Adjusting speed, spray height, and volume helped improve drone performance. At 8 miles per hour and 10 feet above the canopy, for example, drones provided better coverage than at higher speeds or heights. Increasing spray volume from 3 to 6 gallons per acre also improved consistency. Notably, the drones achieved similar levels of spray penetration into the soybean canopy as ground sprayers, suggesting UAVs may eventually become competitive for certain applications. The ability to target weed escapes with drones could cut down on total herbicide applied, lowering costs and reducing environmental impact. Kevin Bradley, the weed scientist from Mizzou, says, "This isn't about saying drones can't work. It's about understanding how to make them work better. If we manage factors like droplet size, swath width, and application speed, the technology can get closer to delivering the kind of results farmers expect from ground sprayers. The piece continues. Herbicide-resistant weeds remain a top challenge in Missouri soybean fields, and farmers are eager for tools that can save time and reduce labor. Drones may not fully replace ground rigs yet, but Bradley believes rapid improvements in technology will push the industry forward. Next steps include testing pre-emerge herbicides, evaluating adjuvants, and comparing different drone platforms. As one grower who attended a field day put it, drones may not be the silver bullet today, but it's only a matter of time before they become part of our weed control toolbox. So to summarize, ground rigs outperform drones in coverage. Ground sprayers covered 2 to 3 times more area and produced larger droplets, leading to more uniform weed control. And drone droplets were much smaller, which increases risk of drift. Another takeaway, drones can work with adjustments. The best results came from lower speeds, 8 miles per hour, and lower spray heights, 10 feet above canopy. Using higher spray volumes, about 6 gallons an acre versus 3 gallons an acre, improved coverage and control. Similar canopy penetration. Despite less spray volume, drones were able to penetrate the soybean canopy about as well as ground rigs. Also, water hemp control is possible, but patchy. At certain flight paths, drones achieved similar weed control to sprayers, but gaps at the edges of drone passes reduced effectiveness. Why it matters for Missouri farmers. Drones open the door to new options. While drones aren't yet a one-to-one replacement, they may play a role in targeted spraying of weed patches or difficult-to-reach areas. They help manage resistant weeds. As herbicide-resistant water hemp and other weeds spread, new tools will be needed. Finally, could reduce herbicide use in the future. If drone spraying becomes more precise, farmers could use less product overall, which may bring both economic and environmental benefit. So what's next? This project showed that drones aren't ready to fully replace sprayers, but technology is improving fast. Future research will test, number one, how drones perform with pre-emergence herbicides. Number two, how different adjuvants or tank additives can affect spray performance. And number three, how different drone platforms compare to each other. With the right adjustments, spray drones could become an important part of soybean weed management. Again, you can find both of these pieces of research by going to mosoy.org. And with a few minutes that we have left in our second segment here, I'm going to play a clip from an earlier version of the Farm Show, way back before we even put the episodes up on YouTube, that talks about other research from the University of Missouri on spray drones. Have a listen. Jesse Yunt of the University of Missouri explains the process, and one of the test fields was just north of us in Lincoln County.
Many growers want to understand how UAV could be integrated into their operation and how this technology compares to existing application methods. Plane and helicopter applications already typically use ultra-low and very low carrier volumes such as 2 and 3 GPA. This allows UAV applications, which are commonly applied at the same carrier volumes, along with the rising availability of UAV, to hold potential as a new application method for growers. Some goals of this project were to understand differences in application coverage, disease severity, lodging, and yield after fungicide applications from both an airplane and an industry-standard UAV in a large plot setting. 3 locations were used across the state of Missouri in the 2024 growing season. Farmer cooperators in Mound City, Truxton, and Green Ridge allowed us to apply treatments on fields that were scheduled to receive a fungicide application from a plane via local aerial applicator service. Each location used a different plane, pilot, fungicide product, and rate. However, both UAV treatments and plane treatments use the same product and rate at each location. A DJI Agris T40 UAV, like you can see here, was used to apply fungicides at 2 and 4 GPA. 3 treatments were applied on each field at either R1 or R3, depending on grower preference, and treatments consisted of 2 GPA and 4 GPA from the UAV and 2 or 3 GPA from an airplane. Water-sensitive spray cards were placed within each plot on 3 plants on the top side of 2 leaves above the ear leaf, and 2 leaves below the ear leaf. Disease severity ratings were taken at application, R3, and R6 growth stage. Yield was collected by cooperators, and yield maps were generated for each plot. Looking at some of the results, first, the average +2 card location. At the Mound City location, we found 4 GPA treatments had significantly higher coverage when compared to plain or 2 GPA treatments. At the Green Ridge location, we found both UAV treatments had significantly higher card coverage when compared to plain treatments. Next, looking at disease severity for tar spot at the Truxton location, both 2 GPA and 4 GPA treatments had significantly less tar spot than when compared to plain treatments. At the Mound City location, 2 GPA treatments had significantly less tar spot when compared to plain and 4 GPA treatments, and there were no significant differences at the Green Ridge location. Next, looking at gray leaf spot, there were no significant differences found for gray leaf spot at both the Truxton and Mound City location. At the Green Ridge location, 2 GPA and 4 GPA treatments had significantly less gray leaf spot severity when compared to plain treatments. For common rust at the Mound City location, 2 GPA treatments had significantly less severity when compared to plain and 4 GPA treatments. However, at the Green Ridge location, there were no significant differences across all treatments. Next, looking at yield. When comparing yield at the Mound City and Truxton locations, plain treatments were significantly lower when compared to both 2 and 4 GPA UAV treatments. However, at the Green Ridge location, there were no significant differences across all treatments. Some conclusions we have found so far. Plain applications resulted in less coverage than 4 GPA UAV treatments. UAV applications result in either equal or lower disease severity at R6 across all locations and diseases. There were no differences in lodging across all treatments and locations, and UAV application resulted in equal or higher yields across all locations. Overall, UAV have the potential to provide similar or better spray coverage, disease suppression, and yield when compared to aircraft applications based off 2024 data. This experiment will be repeated in the 2025 growing season, and I look forward to sharing future results with you. Make sure to check out our YouTube, University of Missouri Weed Science, and MU Extension IPM.
Again, that was Jesse Yunt, graduate student at the University of Missouri, talking about fungicide applications via drone. And we will be back with some news about Bayer and Corteva when we come back.